Hello students, this is Ms. Herndon, and this is for Excel Module 11, SAM Project 1. For this, I've actually already, in the interest of time, I've already downloaded my instructions. I've also downloaded all 4 files that are necessary for this particular project. And so we'll get started on those. I've already printed out my instructions, and I would suggest that you do that so that you can go along with the video that I'm creating. Okay, and I've opened my file here, and I see on my documentation tab that it is, my name is there, and it is correct. The first thing in the getting started, first of all, of course, you're supposed to do File Save As, and you're supposed to change the 1 in the file name to a 2. And once you've done that as well, then we're going to go to File, and then Options, and then Advanced, and we're going to scroll almost all the way down in the Advanced tab to the Data section, and we're going to put a check where it says Enable Data Analysis Add-ins, Power Pivot, Power View, and Power Map. I'm going to pick OK. And now we see that we have a brand new tab that is Power Pivot. We won't be using it till a little later in this project. Okay, so the first step is we're going to create a new, we're going to switch to the Sales History tab, worksheet, and we're going to use Power Query to create a query and load data from a CSV file into a new table as follows. Okay, so we actually want this to load into A3. So I'm going to go ahead and go to A3 on the Sales History tab. And I'm going to go to the Data tab, and we're going to create a new query from File, and it's from a CSV file. And out of the downloads that we had earlier, and I put them in my download file. So let's go down, and we're going to find the one that ends in history. And that's the file we're going to use. We're going to simply import. Does take just a second. Doing a connection. And actually, when I did this on my work computer, I don't remember it giving me the screen. If it does give you the screen, then we're just going to click on Edit. And if your screen looks like this instead, that's totally fine anyway, because this is where we wanted to go. Okay, so now it says we've done the query, we've created, well, we created the first part of it. Now we can modify it as we wish. It says edit the query to remove the unit sold in notes columns. Then close and load the query to a table in cell A3 of the existing worksheet. Okay, so we want to get rid of units sold in notes. So I'm going to select one of those, and then I hold down Shift and select the other one so that we have both of them. I'm going to right click on one of them and remove columns. And now they're gone. Okay, and now we're going to do the arrow below close and load. We're going to close and load to, and we're going to close and load to a table in the existing worksheet, and this happens to be correct. If it's not, then you can minimize that, click in the right spot, and then click OK, and then we're going to load. And you can see our query is now popped up over here in the workbook queries. Okay, so that is all good. Now, with it still selected, with our data still selected, we're going to insert a chart to identify trends. I'm going to step 2. To identify trends in the sales history data is shown. Insert a scatter chart based on the values in the range B3 to C26. And let's go ahead and check to make sure that we've got, yes, that is what we've got. B3 to C26. So we're going to insert, and in the charts, we're going to go over to a scatter chart. And the first one here is scatter. So we're going to use that. Make sure, looking at the data, I want to make sure I've got it all correct. It looks like we're business year, sales, and then years on the horizontal axis. Okay, just want to make sure we're getting it right. Pardon me. Move and resize the chart so that covers the range D3 to J20. So we're going to grab this corner, go up to D3, and scroll down a bit, grab this corner, go make sure I'm inside J, and down to 20. Not a lot of modification. Okay, now we're going to add the axis title, sales, parentheses, $MIL, close parentheses. And if yours don't pop up here, then simply go to the add chart element. Earlier when I did this, the chart elements didn't come up here. The plus sign didn't. But it did this time, so I'm going to use an axis title. And I'm going to use the one that is vertical. Okay, now that it's there, I can click inside here and select it. And we're going to change the title to sales, parentheses, $MIL. It's hard to see what I've typed there. And we're going to use sales trend as the chart title. So let's do the chart title, select it. And now we're going to add a logarithmic trend line to the chart. Okay, so we're going to go back to the chart, do add a chart element, or we could do it up here. And we're going to go to trend line, going to use the arrow, and more options. I'm sorry, let me do it this way. Okay, and there's logarithmic. I'm going to check for a second here and make sure that that looks like it's supposed to. And it really doesn't. Close this. And take away the trend line. I'm going to do the trend line again. Business year, wasn't sure about that. So, logarithmic. Okay, so we'll move forward. Switch on the current sales. So here's where current sales. And beginning in cell A3, we're going to create a new query that imports data from the 2018-2019 CSV file. So we're going to go back to Data, New Query, from File, from CSV. We're going to go back to my Downloads folder, which is where I put mine. You go to wherever you put yours. And here's my CSV file. And I'm going to import. Again, and then go to Edit. Okay, we're going to remove all columns except the order date and sales columns. So I'm going to actually select order date and hold down shift and select sales. Oops, nope, I'm sorry. Order date, hold down control and do sales. Right click and remove other columns. And so those are the only ones we have left. Okay, based on the order date column, we're going to add a new date column to the query using the end of month option. So we're going to go to Add Column tab. We're going to go to Date, Month, and then End of Month. Okay, and we're going to name that month. To display the total sales for each month, group the dates in the month column and create a new column displaying the sum of the sales values as shown. Okay, so we're going to transform the data in the month column group by grouping the data by month. So let's go to Transform, Group By. It says Group by Month, so that's what we want. And the name of the column is going to be Monthly Sales. And we're going to use sum as the operation. And use sales as the column to sum. And then we're going to click OK. Okay, load the query to a table, an existing worksheet beginning in cell A3. So let's go back to home, and we're going to close and load to. Existing worksheet. It's going to go into table, and it already says A3. If it didn't, then I could click here to minimize and choose A3, and then we're going to click load. Okay, and then we're going to format the data in B4 to B27 as currency. Zero decimals, and the dollar sign symbol. Okay, and if an extra row appears at the end, remove it. And mine does have an extra row. So I'm going to select this row, right click and delete it. And now we can see our table ends now at row 27. Okay, step 4. Create a forecast sheet to track the changes in monthly sales and project next month's monthly sales as follows. Based on the range A3 to B27, so let's select that again. create a forecast sheet. Okay, so we're going to go to the Data tab, and we have our information selected, and then over here in the Forecast group, we're going to choose Forecast Sheet. Okay, use the Options menu, so this is Options, and manually set the seasonality to 12. And use 12/31/2020 as the forecast end date. Oops, sorry, that's the start date. Okay, and then we're going to click Create. And if you have a pop-up here that says click the Got It button. Okay, now we're going to use the monthly sales forecast as the name of the new sheet. Resize and move the forecast chart to cover the range C2 to E24. Okay. Switch to the fabric sold by store worksheet. Create a query and load data from an Access database to display information about fabric purchased. Okay, so we're going to create a new query from database, from Access database. I'm going to go back to where we downloaded it, wherever you port yours, and it is this one. Choose import. Okay, and now we're going to choose the one that is 2018-2019 orders table. We're going to edit. And then we're going to use the load to button. we're only going to create a connection, and we're going to add this data to the data model. And we're going to click Load. Okay, now we're going to create a pivot table using the workbook's data model. And I'm just going to go to A3 here, and we're going to insert pivot table, and we're going to use this workbook's data model here. So we're going to choose this one's, and in the following fields, let's see, we're going to use it in the existing worksheet, and so I'm going to click OK. And we're going to expand the 2018-2019 orders, because that's the part we want. And you'll notice since we used the data model that there are a lot of different options here. We actually have information that we can use in this pivot table from any of the data that we've linked. Okay, so in the 2018-2019 orders table, we're going to use the item quantity field in the values. So here's item quantity, drag it down to values. Category field, and we're going to drag it down to the rows. Store city field, we're going to drag it over to columns. And you can see it developing over here as we go. Okay, and we're going to use item sold as the custom name in the sum of item query field. So I'm going to click here and then do value field settings. And our custom name is item sold. And we're going to format it. So here's a number format. We're going to choose number, 0 decimals, and we're going to use a 1000 separator. So I'm going to click OK and OK. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I can close that. Okay, insert a timeline slicer to show items sold in January 2019. So here's timeline. And so we're going to use it by order date. And click OK. And we only want it for January 2019. So let's go to, and we'll select it. Oh, and we're supposed to remove and resize it to A12 to G21. Okay, so now I'm on number 8, and we're going to switch to the fabric sold by date worksheet. And I think I'm going to stop the recording there, and then I'll make a second recording for the rest of it. Thank you. Look for a second recording, please.